Grim Reaper's underground. We hope you survive.
All right, my demons, on a Thursday night, we are back. And as promised, I have the great writer, director, he's been a producer on a lot of things as well, the great Jay Horton of A Hard Place. And we are so excited to have you with us tonight. How you doing?
I am doing just swell. I got my got my robe going. Like I almost got a pipe so I could do like a Hefner thing, but
Right.
I know you can't see my house shoes, but I got fuzzy house shoes.
There you go. You are styling and profiling.
Dude, it is cold. It is cold in Georgia this weekend. It's not normally this cold, but we're down in the the low 20s, which is cold for here, But yeah, I'm making do.
That's what I heard. I heard got like a couple of inches of snow. Surprisingly, Nebraska just got a crop dusting. It wasn't even anything to shake a stick at.
Yeah, well, the scary thing down here is nobody knows how to deal with it. So, they're not used to driving in snow. So I'm like, oh man, you got to put a lot of space between you and the person behind you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we are so glad to finally make this happen, and very glad to have you with us tonight, brother. So we are going to take a quick commercial break to our brothers over at Horror Struck Hot Sauce, and then we're going to talk about all things Hard Place. Check it out. That's right. If you have not tried any of the new flavors of Horror Struck Hot Sauce, you are missing out. Many of you during the holiday season there got most of the ones that he's had, but he's added a lot more. So get over to horrorstruckhotsauce.com. Hotter than hell.
Those guys are out of Atlanta, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah, I think I met him at Days of the Dead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was probably there. Funny story, true story. I was doing the what was that? I think it was the Memphis Monster Con. Yes, okay. Memphis Monster Con. And he was right across from us. And I was like, I was looking for, a sponsor. And there's no money involved or anything, because the underground here is about lifting up people in the underground doing amazing things.
Awesome.
And everybody loves hot sauce.
Yep.
So so I tried it and I was like, yep, we got to have you. So he's good people, love him to death. You can find him on Instagram. That's where he dwells most of the time. All right. So what kind of got you into wanting to direct indie film?
Well, so I'm from Indiana originally, Fort Wayne, and I always loved movies. I'm a smaller dude, not that I'm huge now, but I was really tiny as an adolescent and early teen. So I didn't play a lot of sports, wasn't good at it. Like I watched movies like all the time, all kinds of movies, and I had encyclopedia like knowledge of actors and directors, and so I always loved it. But, being from there and growing up in the 90s, like, late 80s, 90s, it didn't really seem like a viable career path. Like it didn't, I had no connections, no money. I'm from a trailer park. We were poor. It just didn't seem like something that I could do. So I kind of put it out of my mind, and then, I kind of went about, my local, hoodlum, upbringing, drinking, doing drugs. I was in a couple of bands. It just like,
why is it that we were all part of bands?
I know, isn't that funny?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally, totally. But I was just basically an all around screw up. And my brother talked me into coming down to the Gulf of Mexico and working offshore with him for a couple of years.
Oh,
So
wow.
like, I did that for about a year and kind of got straight. And then I was like, man, I'm going to go back to school. Went to University in New Orleans. They had an awesome film program there, so I started taking film classes, and that was like right around the time New Orleans was kind of blowing up for film, like Hollywood South New Orleans, and then I'm talking to people that aren't household names, they're just like working filmmakers are making a living, and then I was like, this is something we can do, and then the Panasonic DVX 24p the mini DV camera came out, and me and some friends got a hold of one, and that summer we shot our first movie, put a little bit on credit cards and just did it, and I never really looked back. That was 2003.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a journey. And sometimes I've talked to so many different independent film directors, and it's you pretty much, if you're going to do it, you just go for it.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people that do it on no budget at all, really.
Yeah, totally.
You just, some people take loans out. It's crazy, but you got there.
No, totally. I've always been of the mindset, if you're gonna do something, you can't wait around for someone to give it to you, or someone else to green light you, or so like I've always taken that path throughout my career, and I found money from investors here and there, but I've always I'm gonna do this regardless.
Yeah. Oh man, Indiegogo is, or any kind of fundraising is just sometimes you hit and sometimes you don't, and my hat's off to everybody that tries to do this, because I'm an actor. I just do that, but I understand that part of filmmaking very, very well.
Yeah.
You've risen above it, and you've put out some awesome stuff. What kind of made you want to do horror, though? Was there like any particular film or maybe TV show that?
Yeah. Like growing up, I would say the one horror movie that really sticks out, and it's almost kind of a cliche at this point to even say it, but Evil Dead 2. So
that's not cliche. That means you're brilliant.
Yeah. Well, the reason being is not just because the movie was awesome, but it was pretty low budget, right?
Yeah.
And I, at the time, I'm watching pretty much everything, but I was mostly mainstreamy stuff. And Evil Dead was really my first introduction into independent film. It didn't quite look like the polished, studio level stuff. But it was good, and it was wild, and it was inventive, and I was like, wow, this is cool. And then when you start reading the stories, they were just, kids, that, went out, raised some money from dentists and stuff, and just went out in the woods and shot the movie, So
what a story.
Yeah, totally. So I always resonated with that. I've always been a big fan of anybody that bootstraps themselves up, So that always that rung really true to me. Evil Dead for sure.
Yeah, definitely the graininess of it, the overall look. It's amazing what they were able to accomplish without much behind them.
Oh, totally. I remember reading, they were talking about how they were trying to get basically a tracking shot, and they put Vaseline on a table and just slid the camera across it, something like that. Or the infamous, put the camera on the boards, and the the Evil Dead POV shot, stuff like that. It's wild, and yeah. very inspiring.
It's crazy to think, because if they're trying to get those shots where the Evil Dead, you can't see it, but it's coming kind of thing, that it's legit somebody with a huge camera on their shoulder running as fast as they can. That's hard to do. I don't even know if anybody would even do that today.
Yeah.
Although cameras have gotten kind of smaller though.
Yeah, smaller, and then you put a gimbal on it, and you could pretty much get a shot like that on your iPhone with a small gimbal now. And the iPhone's probably better quality than the 16 they were shooting on at the time.
Oh yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Paul Nada in the house. What's going on? A fellow indie actor.
Hello, Paul.
He is with us tonight. What's going on, Kyler, Cody, Rebecca? And by the way, if you haven't already figured this out, you need to share this out anywhere and everywhere that there is a horror lover. I don't care who you got to wake up. Share it out.
I like that.
I usually take it a few steps further, but I don't want to interrupt listening to you.
No problem. Well, we were talking about horror. So like horror always like resonated with me because, and as a filmmaker, I really keep coming back to horror because, it's the one genre where like the stakes are so high. The life and death and otherworldly stakes sometimes. And like you get to see characters and put actors in these situations that are just like extreme, extreme.
Very.
You know what I mean? I remember, I think the line was in a Firefly, the TV show. The dude that he was torturing somebody. He said, you don't meet the real person until like they're in extreme pain or distress, and like I kind of feel that way about horror. Like it reveals the truth of characters, So like that's one of the big reasons. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have very broad tastes. I like all kinds of different stuff, but that's the reason as a filmmaker, I keep coming back to horror.
Absolutely. I from your body of work, I kind of get the sense that you really like doing practical effects.
Yeah, I do. Like I like the tactile nature of it. I like to see it on set. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not like I don't rail against digital effects. I think they definitely have their place. I use them. But like when you're on set, like say, they've gotten pretty good at like squibs, like digital squibs where you can't quite tell, but there's something about being on set and seeing that real squib go off that, and the way that it affects the actors, like the actors don't have to pretend, like they're
reacting.
Yeah. Yeah. So like that's one of the reasons that I really like practical effects, especially. And then when you're talking about creature design, when you can have that organic interaction with the creature and the actors, like, you don't get that with digital, like actor, or acting against a golf ball or something,
Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm such a huge fan of Joe Castro, with all of, him making some of these horrific death scenes and, prosthetics and things. They're made from nothing. They're made from very simple things, and it's just like it's amazing what you can do. Aaron Markham, who's actually a part of the network here, is also a practical effects maker, and the blood cannon on Killer Cox was just amazing. It looks so good on film.
Right.
So, yeah. So what was your first full-length feature for horror?
Yeah, so my first feature, which was my first movie, I never really did shorts, except for I did one little tiny thing in film school. But anyway, my first feature was called Rise of the Undead. Is what I mentioned. We got the camera and went out and shot it. It was basically like 7 strangers, like they took refuge in this like government building during an ongoing apocalypse.
Nice.
And of course, I never explain the apocalypse. We just know that it's happening. and they end up being stalked by a creature within the the building. Very simple setup and very low budget. We made that movie, I think $3,000 or $4,000 back in 2003. But the one thing that movie really had going for it had an awesome location. I was living in New Orleans at the time, and they had this 5-story self-storage facility that was a converted hotel. So like it was like this big luxury hotel, and they kind of like gutted it and turned it into self-storage, but it still had some of the like hotel facade inside. Like it had like an old dilapidated like ballroom, and like when you get up into the storage facilities, they all had like like caged doors, and like it looked almost like a jail. It was a really interesting looking place. It didn't look anything like a government building like what it was supposed to be, but it looked cool. It looked cool.
That's the thing, yeah. You're trying to shoot in a spot.
Yeah, what's available?
Looks like it's been ravaged by this apocalypse.
Right.
And, New Orleans is just just amazing locations there. So many run down things. I don't want to crap on them.
Oh no. Especially back then, especially you go into past downtown, and they had some like warehouse district, and they had all these old abandoned warehouse. We shot a proof of concept there a couple of years later that it looked really cool location wise. It's probably really dangerous that we were in there, but we were young, man. We'd do whatever.
Oh shoot, man. I'm 48, and I did a creature feature called Grind.
Oh yeah.
We were in this abandoned office building, and there were missing parts to upper floors, and
right.
I'm just like, no, let me put my creature suit on. Let's go. It's gonna look amazing. I'm gonna break shit.
That's cool.
So it ends up, it really does add to that flavor. Looney Dingo is with us in the house. Good to see you.
I know that guy. I know
you. Do. So that's amazing. What led you to A Hard Place? Let's go ahead and shift.
So we're jumping way ahead. So basically, I made a lot of movies back through 2000 to 2015, and I started doing documentaries, and then did those for a few years, and I started really missing doing horror. So I found a couple of old scripts. One, it was called Exit, that became Craving, and the other one was, actually, I think it was called The Hard Place. They're both fairly old scripts, but they were monster movies. And so I decided, what I'm going to do? I'm going to come back into horror, and I'm going to do a trilogy of monster movies. Not a direct trilogy, but like spiritual sequels. So, and each one gets progressively a little bigger. So, like Craving was a monster movie with a bunch of criminals stuck in pretty much a single location bar, with a single monster. And,
awesome. Those are my favorite.
Oh yeah, it's a little From Dusk Till Dawn-y, slow burn, and then it really goes ape shit at the end. Very gory. And I had such but I wasn't sure I was going to do another one, but I had such a good time doing Craving and working with the actors, and it was also my first crowdfunding movie, and I did pretty well on that. We raised, I think, $85,000 for that movie.
Woo! That's amazing.
So it gave me the confidence to go on to a bigger one with A Hard Place. So, A Hard Place then is a slightly bigger monster movie about a group of criminals who I like criminal stuff. So I
think it's great because they make great anti-heroes.
No, yeah, absolutely. What I really like about using criminals as protagonists in horror movies is because you have these people that live outside the law. And then they get in this situation where they absolutely cannot depend on the law or any outside help. They're totally, on their own, so I like that situation. So that's what makes Craving in A Hard Place very appealing to me. So
Yeah.
these criminals are on the lam, and they're up in the hills and the woods, and they like you think it's going to be kind of a wrong turn thing,
Yep.
and they meet these this like hick family, but it turns out like that family is a particular type of monster, and then there's another particular clan of monsters that they're feuding with, and the criminals are stuck in the middle. So and it just like A Hard Place just ups the ante from Craving in like every way. It's like it's bigger, it's a bigger cast, there's more monsters. Like Craving, we had one full-bodied monster, and it was looked incredible. In A Hard Place, we have like, I want to say 12. you know we
That's
have
a lot of monsters.
like 6 or 7 of the one species, and 4 or 5 of the other. It's like, and then they're doing battle, and they're fighting, and they're ripping heads off, and it gets really crazy. Like it's a little bit of a, what people sometimes call a kitchen sink movie. Like, so it's like you just throw everything at it, and it's funny, and it's gory, and it's got nice character moments, and it's just all around a really fun movie, and it allowed me to play with like tons of different inspirations. It's a little Southern Comfort, it's a little Evil Dead, it's a little Blade 2, it's a little it's got all of these influences, and I think it comes together in a pretty like cohesive way. So like I really, out of every movie I've ever done, so like we've done 3 live screenings now, and like all 3, the audience just goes ape shit. Like, so like I really, so I'm pushing really hard to do this theatrical thing and a drive-in run coming up in the next couple of months, because like,
Oh my goodness.
I've never had a movie
That's
that
huge.
that I felt has played so well with live audiences.
Yeah, definitely. I obviously, I waved the flag for creature features.
Yeah.
Ever since I saw Creature from the Black Lagoon,
Mm-hmm.
the original, Night of the Living Dead. Um, so the fact that you're putting out, excuse me, these creature features, and my goodness, it's the air. It's so
Yeah.
cold here.
dry.
Gotta love it. That you're really pushing out some of these great creature features. I think it's making a comeback.
I think so too. Like I run a YouTube channel that focuses on distribution and marketing of independent films. So, I do,
Nice.
I watch market trends, and I'm not saying this was a conscious, like I'm gonna, follow the trend thing, but like monster movies, especially like on a lower budget, if you can pull them off, can really like stand above. Cause everybody making horror movies, low budget horror movies. I mean, tons of slashers, tons of slasher in the woods, tons of zombie stuff. It's fairly, like simple prosthetic to
Attack of the
do.
Corn Zombies.
Yeah. And they're good. And they're good. And
That was my first film.
I'm not shading them at all. But if you can for just a little bit more money, put together like an impressive looking monster, like
Yes.
you definitely got a leg up. And they don't have to be, studio level, because like there's something even a little homemade about these movies,
Mhm.
and I think that is part of the appeal. Like I think A Hard Place, a little more so than Craving, is it's a little grindhousey, and I think
Yeah.
that so like some of those like imperfections like work really well for it.
I mean, films like From Beyond and, Alien,
Yeah.
people, when there's, creatures involved like this that are just nightmarish. And of course, now we see uh, Until Dawn is now been made from the horror game, which is focuses on the Wendigo.
Mm.
People just are terrified by these monsters. What's the other one? They've made like a bunch of sequels to. I think it's called A Quiet Place.
Oh yeah, A Quiet
Yeah,
Place. Yeah, A
it
Quiet Place, A
really.
Hard Place. I actually did the like I had the title before that, but I actually did one of my title fonts in one of my posters to kind of mimic their title font. The poster doesn't look anything like it, but the font.
No.
The font's similar. I think I'm trying to see if I have one of them. Oh no, I don't have one around. It's not my official font, but I've used it.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm always poking fun at the mainstream
Oh, totally.
because original thought just doesn't exist with them. And
Yeah.
being focused on, you know, PG-13 horror, I mean, that's great. I guess it's a gateway for youth, you know, coming up. But, you know, I was 8 years old and saw Halloween for the first time, 1978.
Right.
And then from there, you know, you go back to 74 and you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
So
and part two, part two had a big impact on me. You know,
absolutely. Bill Moseley killed
he's
it.
so good. You know, and there's like, so, you know, I talked about humor earlier, and it's like the humor of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, especially, like that always like really stuck with me. You know, I like that kind of stuff.
I really think that was a film that sparked that. You know,
it's the first one of its kind that I remember. You know, I'm not saying there isn't something else before it. I'm not sure, but it does kind of feel like it at the very least, like popularized it with horror fans. You know,
definitely.
And I also really like the way like Peter Jackson in his early stuff used humor. You know, like in Dead Alive and Meet the Feebles and Bad Taste. You know, yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, Evil Dead picked it up in the second one.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Because the first one, they were like all trying to be serious.
Yeah.
I still laughed a lot though.
Yeah, me too. And that just goes to show you too, like, you know, like the first one was legit scary, but you know, like some of the effects were hokey, you know, but it's still like it worked. You know, you can take a hokey effect, but if you take it seriously, like as a filmmaker and an actor, you know, like most audiences anyway can go with it. I mean, you know, like one thing that I don't care a ton about, you know, and I'm good at it because I'm an editor, but like I don't worry too much about like continuity stuff. I'm not super like anal about it. And people that are always kind of turn me off, even as viewers. Like if you're that like, you know, like tied up or not into the story that you notice the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones, you know, like all the people that are complaining about the Game of Thrones stuff. I watched that episode. I watched it twice, and it had to be pointed out to me, and then I was like, oh, okay. Like, but anyway, that's my rail on continuity.
I feel that. I do, because if you know, I was always the type that when I watch a movie, I'm invested. I'm invested in the characters. I'm not looking for, you know, fucking movie mistakes. You know,
exactly.
I think those are pleasant little, you know, things that you can laugh about later.
Yeah,
but,
totally.
You know, you're more concentrated on the story, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, 100%.
Looney has a question for you here. He says, how do you think this Hard Place tour is affecting the release and cast unity? Would you recommend that approach, and where does the tour end? Europe?
Oh, I'd love it. So I'm gonna take the question backwards. So where it ends, who knows? Like the thing about when you're doing a roadshow tour like we are, so we're not going out and renting theaters. Like we're creating partnerships with different theaters, and then they split. But the tricky part about all of this is how far you go depends on how well you do. So it's like, you know, you get into this, like we're starting to book this chain in the Midwest called Imagine. And they have like 35 theaters. So we premiere at the first one there in beginning of March. Right. And so we'll have a premiere there. And then after that premiere, it'll play 2 weeks in that theater. So it's like I think it's a 100-seat theater. So if I sell out, you know, 75, 80 tickets to the premiere, and, you know, the 2 weeks do at least a good, you know, 20, 30 people a showing, then they're going to open it up into more theaters and more theaters. You know what I mean? But then, you know, say you hit a snag and a couple of those like don't work out, then that chain's done with you. Then you kind of go to the next, you know? So it just depends. And I mean, so far we've sold out or come close to selling out our 3 showings. So I think it will do well, but you know, you never know. and then I'm going to Florida next week to pitch a bunch of drive-in owners to play in drive-ins across the country. Yeah,
Such a lost art, the art of the
oh,
drive.
dude,
What an experience.
I met this dude, Stephen Hayaguchi, who did it with his movie The Occult last year, and he knows me from my YouTube channel, and he kept saying, "Man, you're a hustler. I think you could really do this," And I was like, to be honest, I've always just went straight to market. I finished my movie straight to market. I've never even really done film festivals. Like I just get it straight to the people. Watch it. Make a few bucks off it, move on to the next one. But like on A Hard Place, I think this movie is something a little special. Like I think it's the best thing I've done, and I want to give it every opportunity to get a wider audience. Now, as far as cast unity goes, that's an interesting question, because when you're playing all over the country, of course, some cast can make some showings, some can't. So like, when we did our LA premiere, it was predominantly most of the cast, and like that, and that was great. Everybody was together. It was neat. Then we did an Ohio premiere in Dayton, and a lot of the main cast couldn't go. And then it starts segregating a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no like hard feelings or, no drama with it or anything, but
No.
it starts feeling a little segregated, so like we'll do a screening in Texas, and it'll be like Ashley Undercuffler and Kevin, they're out there now, so like it'll be like their premiere. And then we're going to do another screening in LA, and it'll be like Rachel Bryant and like Scott Ward and some of those people. And then we're doing Indie Days of the Dead and Chicago Days of the Dead, and it'll be like the actors that are out that way. So and it gives, the really cool thing about playing all over the country live is it gives, especially the Indiegogo contributors, that came in and did like, a day roll or something like that. It gives them a chance to see it live, because, a lot of them aren't going to, fly out to, Los Angeles to see it, or Texas or whatever it is, so I think overall it does well for Unity. And, I'm really looking forward myself to seeing where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, knowing so many different actors and actresses, it's hard to get everybody in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, it's hard enough to get them together to shoot, try to get them to, come to a premiere 6 months later or whatever. Yeah.
But the fact that you're even doing it, though, is a testament to indie film's rise.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool to see that you're not just going straight, hey, let's get the DVD out, let's get the Blu-ray out. You want to get this
hit Tubi,
or hit Tubi, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm starting to think that that's like the safe spot, for a lot of filmmakers. Well, it's easy. On there, they'll take it.
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but I think I even got caught up a little bit in the low effortness of that kind of release, because I make so many things, right. So it starts to be like, okay, like this is done, this is out, and I don't have to go, travel to support it. And don't get me wrong, it's a privileged, position to be able to even afford to go travel with your movie, because a lot of people wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. I'm not a rich man, but right. But I do okay. And so like I can fly to LA and then Vegas and then Reno and then Ohio, all in a couple of weeks, and not be on the street, but some people can't. So it's I sometimes when I talk about it, I try to be careful that I'm not like, about like jet setting or something, because I'm not.
Yeah. No, trust me. People ask me all the time, man, you do it, you act in horror films. I'm like, yeah, I do it because I love it. It's right. Definitely not for the paycheck.
Yeah, no,
it's helpful. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's definitely helpful, but we're all in it to try to make these films as successful as possible.
Yeah, totally. And my horror stuff is my passion stuff. So like, I talked about making the documentaries. I make a crap ton of documentaries, and I'll be honest. I will go on the record. I don't really care about most of them. I mean, I enjoy making them. Don't get me wrong. I'm passionate about the filmmaking itself.
Yeah.
But as far as like subject matter, making more of them, or has like a career, it's how I make money. It's my day job. And I do enough of those that, I can take, a year and a half to make a movie like A Hard Place or Craving, and spend like more time and money on my passion. And if it doesn't pay off in the same way, it's kind of okay. Of course I want them to do well, but if they don't, say la vie,
And that just goes to show you, especially everybody out there in the Black Flame land that is either a would-be director in the future or actor, actress. You got to pay the bills at the end of the day. So if you're able to, do what you do, because for a minute there, I was a business owner. I had a storefront, a retail shop. And, with the way things are these days, had to take it down and put it online, try to do the best I can. Yeah. Now I'm working a square job again. Yeah. So, but that's because not only are we taking care of what we need to, but it's helping us to continue entertaining everyone.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
what it's all about.
100%. 100%.
No, I commend you for that in every sense of the imagination. Some documentaries, I can tell you, I think are great. And then there's the run-of-the-mill ones that, you're like, I've seen this 1,000 times. Or
yeah. So like for me, like where I get artistic satisfaction out of documentaries or personal satisfaction, like I like to tell fairly positive stories, and I like to talk with people, interview people that are very passionate about what they're doing. So like, I've done a lot of Bigfoot documentaries, and I'll admit I'm not a Bigfoot believer. But like when you're talking to somebody that really passionately is,
I was going to say,
it's hard not to get caught up in that, You
got to get excited.
Yeah. And, we did a professional wrestling one about female professional wrestlers, and you're listening to these women.
That's a good one.
Oh, it is. And you're listening to these women's stories, about, how hard it was for them coming up. And some of them are, been doing it for years when there weren't really, female pro wrestlers, and, dealing with all the harassment and stuff like that. It was just like, it was an inspiring story,
Very much so.
Yeah.
That's really cool that you were able to capture that. And because a lot of people don't know behind the scenes, there's been some controversy with WWE, of course, and, all that stuff. And I actually think that professional wrestling is tougher. For women. It's not that they're not tough enough, because obviously they are. There's some great stars.
Yeah.
They've come a long way.
Yeah, not to turn it political, but women have a rough go of it in general.
Exactly.
And so I like to do what I can, like my part in like spreading the word and empowering.
Same.
Yeah,
absolute same. We have another question for you there. Longtime viewer and my brother Babylon's son from Arkansas says, are you having any shows coming to Northwest Arkansas? Bentonville, Arkansas is starting to boom for film.
Well, I truly hope so. Right now, there's nothing planned. Like I said, it kind of depends on how well it goes. So right now we're mostly focused on Midwest for the Imagine chain. So it's like, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois. If we do well there, it will spread out. Now,
you got to let me know when it comes to Illinois. I'll drive the 6
for sure.
Hours to get
and I think we're still working on it, but I think we're going to get a screening in Chicago at Days of the Dead potentially.
Oh man,
it's not settled. It's just something we're looking into.
Right.
But if not, we're going to do something around there. And then of course, like I said, next week I'm pitching drive-ins. So I'm hoping to be in drive-ins pretty much across the country through, the spring and maybe early summer.
Awesome. Now, are you doing just like single viewings of just your film, or is it like a part of a double feature or anything like
So
that?
yeah, the drive-in thing will most likely be parts of like double features or even triple and quadruples. Like
Mm.
small movies like this usually end up, like the third or fourth banana film on a marquee. But like it can be very lucrative if you book enough of them. So like
Yeah.
I'd never really done it before. This is just all stuff I've heard through the guy that's booking us for the theatrical. So like they have this drive-in convention in Florida in Kissimmee, right outside of Orlando. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Every year, and all these drive-in owners from around the country go to this convention. And so I am blind. I'm going down to the convention. I bought a vendor table. I bought tickets. It was
Hell yeah.
expensive, and in the hope that I'll be able to talk these guys into playing my film. It's the whole theatrical thing. Well, filmmaking in general is a risk. Like you're going to put
Right.
yourself out there, both creatively, both personally, and financially. So it's like it's all a risk. And at the end of the day, especially financially, things may not work out. They just in general with independent films, things don't work out financially. Just
Mhm.
the vast majority of independent films don't make much money, don't make
Right.
their budgets back, don't make the time that you put into the movie financially worth it. So like you really have to love it,
Yes.
like if you're going to do it, like if you're just looking to make a buck, go back to law school.
Yep. Absolutely. I was going to say, it's a risk as indie actors to just buy tables at horror cons just to
Oh, I know.
try to put their name out there, like myself.
Dude, I mean, I'll speak a little out of school about our Days of the Dead experience. It was an awesome experience. I love doing it. I don't regret doing it for a minute, but I did take a bath financially,
Oh,
because and a lot of it was just me not spending wisely. It was
gotcha.
Vegas. I spent too much on food. There
I
were,
mean, it's Vegas. Of
yeah.
course you are.
It was I spent
on
way, man, parking because I wasn't staying at the hotel. So it's like every time you leave the hotel, you have to pay for parking again. It was, yeah, but like I've never really done conventions before. It was my first convention as a filmmaker, and man, I was blown away by like the supportive atmosphere. Like I was expecting a little more, like especially amongst the vendors, kind of like, who's this?
Who's this guy? Why is he doing better than me?
Yeah, but it wasn't. Like for the most part, everybody was more like, oh, come on over here, or they would come over and talk to you. Like
that's what myself and the filer of the Art Crown.
Yeah.
The whole last year we toured together, and we didn't know what to expect. We're like, we don't know who knows us, and vendors around us were like, you guys are the shit.
Yeah.
Because normally I'm in face paint, but my skin is so dry today, I just can't put it on.
Right.
That's why I'm regular face. But and it's amazing how everyone actually comes together, and they're so genuine. That's what I love about the horror community.
It is something else. And the name actors, like again, for the most part, there was one that was kind of a little, but for the most part, everybody was like super cool. And then, like I've worked with Felissa Rose on my last two movies.
Oh, my dear friend Felissa.
She's, dude, I mean, she's like on set, I would always say amazing. She's a ray of sunshine, and she's such a good actress, but she is like really, dude, she is in her element at cons. Like, I mean, she had a line at her table. Like, I mean, most of the time, I would say, like on average, like she had more people waiting for her than the Terrifier cats did. It was like, it was and she would stay like, I don't know, I want to say half hour, 45 minutes after it was over, still like getting through her line. I was just like, man, she's like super inspiring.
Every single time. And the way that she is with the fans, she will take that time.
Yeah, she makes you feel like you are the only person there. She's not like, she's not looking around. She's not, like, oh, who else is here? She's just like focused and happy to be there. And I mean, I heard her say a couple of times, she talks about how conventions saved her life. And
Yeah.
like I don't know the whole story, but the way she says it and the conviction, you're just like, that's genuine, man. She is a genuine, like,
She's
just
a treasure.
yeah, a treasure. I fucking love her, dude. I
She's the
like
best.
what I told her after our hard place. I was like, I don't care what it is, I will find something for you in everything I ever do. And she has just to talk about her a minute in a hard place, she has a very substantial role in a hard place, and
Yes.
she is fantastic, man. Like no ego stroke to myself, but I really truly believe this is like, I think it's her best performance. Like she's legitimately really, really good in it, and I think even fans are going to be like a little like taken aback because it's a different kind of role for her.
She's branching out.
Yeah, man.
When I worked with her on Down the Long River, that's what she was talking about. She's like, I'm trying to do a lot of more different stuff, not just the same.
Yeah.
Not trying to be pigeonholed or anything like that.
Yeah, totally.
And she's killing it.
Yeah, she really is. Like and man, I had so much fun working with her, like as an actor. Like, because the thing about Felissa, she has a ton of experience. She's been doing it for years.
Yes.
And she's good. And you can sit there. It's really fun to work with an actor and tweak a performance on the set when they really like know what they're doing.
Right.
Like it's like it's a really like special like thing. And I really, really, really loved working with her.
I mean, you have a phenomenal cast. You have another really great friend of mine that I worked with on Attack of the Corn Zombies, Lynn Lowry.
Yeah.
Legend.
Totally, man. Shivers and the Crazies, man.
Oh, especially the Crazies.
So, and Lynn, man, she is she's a
firecracker.
She is a firecracker, and she is, and she's a trooper. Like I hate it when filmmakers say somebody's a trooper, but she like, because we were shooting in February in Ohio, and we got like 3 feet of snow the night before the first day. We had like sub-zero temperatures.
There she is.
Yeah, and she is out there, and dude, she never ever complained. She was always on, and this wasn't, this is definitely not a cushy set. Like our holding wasn't the best. Luckily the farmhouse we were shooting at, the owner, we didn't think they were going to initially, but they let us like use their actual house as holding when we weren't shooting in there. So we were able to do that. Dude, we lucked so out with it. There's a woman named Pam Heinz, and she owns a horse farm out in Ohio called Heaven's Gate. It was actually called Heaven's Gate before the actual incident, but she, man, like I couldn't have done it without her. I mean, it was, we very affordable in the rent. And she used to own a restaurant, so like there were a couple of days where we had our lunch, and she's looking at our lunch, and she's like, that's not, she ran inside and made like 4 or 5 pots of chili to supplement.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, she was great. And on the last day, we were doing like the goodbyes and stuff, and she kind of gathered everybody around. She had tears in her eyes, and she was like, this was one of the best experiences of my life. And
my goodness,
dude, you know how that, like,
she's so gracious,
dude, my heart just like exploded. And then when we did the Dayton premiere, because that's where we shot and where she is, she brought, like she pimped that screening probably harder than I did. Like she brought a ton of people in, man. And so when we did the Q&A, we brought her up to do the Q&A and all that. It was really great.
Oh, just amazing. Yeah. And such a wonderful young cast as well.
Yeah.
You got Kevin Caliber, Bai Ling.
Yeah, we had Bai Ling. So Bai Ling and Glenn Plummer, so I'll just tell everybody, if you're expecting them throughout the movie, don't. So Hard Place kind of has a movie within a movie thing happening, and it comes back a couple of times, and they're the stars of that movie.
Nice.
So it's like the beginning a few minutes, it's in the middle a few minutes, it's a few minutes a little after that, but it's not like,
but still.
Yeah. But I just like to make it clear. if you're if you're expecting wall to wall Bai Ling, you're not gonna get it.
Right.
But yes, and I'd worked with Glenn probably 3 or 4 times. Glenn's great, man, and he's really he takes on a mentor-y kind of role with other actors, and I've never seen him give a false like note. He's just really good. And then Bai Ling, man, she's a ball of energy. And she's very she's very dedicated, and she's very like involved. Like out of all the actors, like Glenn or like Sadie Katz was in it for a few minutes.
Yeah,
they didn't give script notes or anything like that. Bai Ling's in there with script notes. Like she's like, what if my character says this, and she won't, and she's not difficult about it, but she gives her input, and she's really, man, when she turns it on, it's like bam, But yeah, she was fun. Yeah. And then Kevin, I've worked with Kevin since Campus. He was my devil creature in Campus, covered his beautiful face. And then in Craving,
that's why they put me in suits,
right?
Helps that I'm huge,
right? Yeah, he played in Craving, he played a heroin addict, and I, gave him a bushy beard and kind of hit his face again. And then, so I feel like with Hard Place was our chance to like let him shave and see his face,
Right.
So I was like, we got to do that, get a little shirtless moment for the. I was gonna say for the ladies, but I guess for the guys too. And then, yeah, you never know. And then,
nothing wrong with that.
But in this one especially, like Kevin got to stretch some of his like comedy chops a little bit.
Yeah.
So his part is definitely like it's funny. He's got some of the best like one-liners in the movie. And then yes, she is, John. And then and then of course we had Rachel Amanda Bryant, who's also worked with me on every movie since Campus. She was the lead in Campus. She was kind of the final girl in Craving. It was more of an ensemble, but she was the final girl. And then basically final girl again in this one. And I really love working with her a lot. And then Ashley Undercuffler, Kevin's partner. I think I loved her in Craving, but I think A Hard Place might be her best performance. Like really, really nuanced and good, and she like had great chemistry with Rachel. Like and to see her do like some action hero stuff. I gave her the badass Mad Max like double barrel. I love that. That sawed off double barrel.
Oh yeah.
So I gave her that and gave her some cool hero moments. Yeah, but yeah, Absolutely. It was great.
We have a ton of questions.
Oh, sure.
Which I'm going to get to, but I think it's time.
Oh,
it's time. The big bad devil daddy himself is going to show you the trailer for this epic film right now. Let's check it out.
The best part is that no one gets hurt.
We need to find somewhere to lay low. Somewhere off the grid.
Let's go. I don't want to get mixed up in whatever state we're in, Chainsaw Massacre.
What the hell?
Nobody wander off alone.
Xenia!
They're coming for us. Y'all want to get out of here?
Six criminals on the run.
What are you?
Looks like you found yourself caught smack dab right in the middle of an old-fashioned feud.
Trapped between the creatures that roam the night and the monsters that rule the day.
Where are you gonna go? Where?
You ripped them limb from limb!
A Hard Place. Coming soon to a theater or drive-in near you.
If that doesn't make your liver quiver, I don't know what the fuck is gonna do it. Every time I watch that, I'm just like, I want to see it all.
Yeah, man,
Oh man.
I get a little caught up in it. Like I made it. I've seen the movie 100 fucking times, but yeah,
Right.
I watched that. I'm like, you know what? That is a pretty good trailer.
It was perfect. You don't give everything away, but you
Yeah.
give us just enough
Just enough.
carnage candy to like
Yeah.
make us want to.
Oh, dude,
You know what I'm saying?
I really struggled with that, like how much to show or how much to not show. And like the early
Oh, man, it's
drafts,
gonna be
like I was
tough.
just showing little slivers of them. But I was
Yeah.
finally like, you know what? It's a monster movie, and I want people to know that we have monsters in it. So I'm like, let's give them a little bit more, you know,
You know, and
not
that's
too
something.
much, but a
Yeah,
little bit
not
more.
too
'Cause-
much. Just
well,
enough.
because the problem now, if this was a bigger budget Hollywood film, I may not have shown the monsters at all, you know, or just
Right.
little slivers of them, because you know it's a Hollywood film. They're going to be there. But with
Yeah.
indies, you have a ton of indies that say they're a monster movie, you know, and then there's like you might see like a little like
Like a
corner of it.
hand.
Yeah, a hand or an elbow or a painted face or something, you know. So being low budget, I felt like I had to like tip the hat a little bit and like, look, we actually do have monsters and there's several of them, and yeah.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get to some of these awesome questions.
All right.
Rebecca was wondering, is Nashville a possibility for a showing?
Definitely. And I'm not too far from Nashville, so I would say it's a very strong possibility. Nothing's booked quite yet, but I would say that's more
I
than
think it'd
likely.
be amazeballs.
Yeah. I love
Absolutely.
Nashville. So I
Oh.
more than likely.
I got mad love for Nashville. All my Nashville demons out there. Nashville Horror Con last year was the shit. That's all I have to say. You guys fucking rock. Looney asks, do you plan to continue your open door guidance type approach to the industry? I know you've helped a lot of people navigate this world of filmmaking with your videos.
So the answer is kind of yes and no. I mean, yes, I do, and I occasionally still make filmmaking videos, but I don't do as much as I used to. I was doing 3 filmmaking videos a week for about 4 years. I'm honestly kind of burned out on it.
I can feel that.
Yeah, but
Totally.
but that said, like especially over like the last months as I start getting out there more with Craving, I like when I was at Days of the Dead, more people recognized me from my YouTube channel than from the movie stuff by far. Like I had several people come up to me asking me about, and I haven't shot a new video probably in over a year. And, I had people coming up and like, oh, your videos inspired me to do this and that, and so that feels really good. And dude, there are filmmakers that have watched my videos and go on to make way more money than I do.
Right.
Like there's a cat out of Omaha that makes like street movies. And dude, they're having $100,000 like months and quarters. And, he got his like business plan, from me, and that's great. Some people would be jealous, but I'm like, I think it's awesome.
I wonder if it's somebody I know. It's not Chambers, is it?
No.
Oh.
Black filmmaker.
Gotcha.
Devin Bray.
Because I'm like, that's in my own backyard. People ask me all the time, are you involved in the indie film in Omaha? I'm like, no, I get booked for everything out of state. But if they're interested, I mean, I'm open.
Yeah, and if anybody ever has like questions like filmmaking stuff or marketing stuff, you can always hit me up. If I can answer it, I will. If I can, I can. I'm a little hesitant to give advice these days about certain things because filmmaking is such a fluid, never-changing thing. You don't want to tell somebody something, then it's not true the next day, and you know what I mean. So I'm a little more careful than I used to be.
Sure, I mean, and it feels great, like when somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, you've inspired me to do this."
Oh, 100%, man, 100%.
And then we think back to when we started, and there wasn't anyone that showed us a playbook.
Oh, dude,
I mean, me as an actor, I just jumped right the fuck in it and said,
Yeah.
okay, here's 30 years of watching films and here's my best.
That's the whole reason I did the channel in the first place. Like, there's all kinds of people on YouTube talking about, this is how you make a movie, or, this is how you light, this is how you edit, blah, 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 blah. But there was like almost no one talking about the business side of ultra low budget filmmaking.
Never.
Nothing, so there's a ton of people doing it now, but
Right.
like when I started it, 6 years ago, that like there was kind of indie film hustle, and even then, a lot of the so-called like gurus, like they really didn't make that many movies. Like when I started talking about it, I had already directed over 20 movies. I'd produced close to 50, at this point, like 100. So like, I'm not just some dude talking out his butt. Like I actually I've walked the walk for 25 years, so like I feel like I have something to say. Although at this point, I kind of feel like I've said it for the most part. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Aaron Markham, I was talking about earlier about his awesome practical effects. He says, I, as a new filmmaker, appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge and experiences.
Well, I appreciate you letting me know that. It does mean a lot to me.
Absolutely. And Looney also says, I think it would be great to compile your filmmaking content into a do-it-yourself filmmaking
documentary.
That's actually a hell of an idea.
So here's the thing about like filmmaking docs. So I've done a few like micro budget Marauder series, but the thing about filmmaking content, and I hate to call it content, but the thing about filmmaking content in general, it's not really a money making thing,
Right.
So like not that that's what it has to be, but if you put a lot of effort into a thing, at least for me at this point in my life, if I put, a month or even several weeks into a thing, like it has to return a certain amount of revenue, in order for me to take the time to do it. So like, I'm very hesitant about filmmaking documentary content.
Yeah.
But it's something that I would like to see.
Everybody who out there in the Black Flame universe has seen the trailer, and everyone's like, play it again. Aaron says, fuck yeah, looks awesome.
Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate it. Like, man, because like you spend as long as I have done doing this and doing so many, low budget movies, and they're rough around the edges, and you don't get a lot of super positive, like across the board reactions like I've gotten for this. So like this feels different to me, which is another reason why I'm like, I'm going to go all in with this movie, I'm putting myself out on a financial limb like I never have before.
It's scary.
It is scary. It is scary. Because like, I mean, I had a pretty good year last year with a couple of my specific documentaries did like excellent. So, and as I was coming into this year, I'm like, you know what? Like I took my first vacation in 10 years last year. I was like, I'm going to take two this year. I'm going to take 2 vacations this year. But, but right now, like watching that bank account drain down, you're like, well, maybe I won't, like we'll see what happens.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to get accolades. And, I've seen a lot of posts recently on my Facebook for some films that, did pretty well at some of the, I don't know if you call them competitions or whatever, but it's great to see that some films are being recognized. And I'm telling you right now, this is from me, Reaper himself. This film is going to blow everyone away.
I honestly, without sounding like a egotistical dickhead, I think you are right. I'm a very self-deprecating.
You
person
deserve
in
that
general,
pat on the back, man.
Yeah, but I feel like this.
Blood,
I feel
sweat,
like
and tears.
I feel like this is going to resonate pretty well with. I mean, there's going to be people that don't like it. Don't get me wrong, but I think it overall, like I think it's going to resonate well.
Yes, definitely. And Looney says, "Sure. What's the plan for the third film?"
Well, I'm glad you asked. So, I just started like recently kind of talking about this. So, the movie's called Apex Predators Club, and it's kind of it's kind of a play on the Most Dangerous Game,
Ooh,
where
yeah.
instead of rich folk hunting poor folk, it's rich folks hunting different types of monsters.
I love it.
So we'll have, we're gonna have some classics. There's a vampire couple. We're gonna have a chupacabra. We got an actual blob, like the 86 blob. Yeah. We're gonna have a ghoul, like this Cthulhu like creature, a fairy, and then just this really crazy cast of characters that are hunting them. It's like it's about, I'd say it's probably about double the size, maybe triple the budget of a Hard Place. And so like it's going to start coming together in May. Like we'll have there's going to be some equity financing, and then we'll do a crowdfunding component probably in May.
Sure.
And then it will shoot either if we shoot in coastal US, it's going to be in September, October, but we're also potentially looking at Puerto Rico, which would put us in January to miss the hurricane season.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
No offense. I will send you my IMDb resume and reel later.
No problem. Yeah, dude, it's
that's got to be written all over it, man.
Dude, like I honestly, and again, like I hate fluffing my own pillows, but I think it's very well could be the best script I've ever done. Like I wrote it pretty.
It sounds insanely awesome.
Like it's got some crazy, like great big set pieces, some like really cool character stuff. I had this. Yeah, I mean the vampire couple stuff is like so fun.
I mean, it has to be.
Yeah. But yeah, I did a movie called Edges of Darkness back in the day. It was like a little zombie movie, and they had a vampire couple in that. It's basically kind of that vampire couple, like not those actors, but kind of a play on those characters.
Sure.
Because initially this movie was a sequel to that, and I eventually just kind of jettisoned the entire plot and kind of kept some of the character stuff from it and put it into this movie.
I mean, that's awesome because you're creating like almost like a universe. Of monster films that kind of come together, and I think that's brilliant.
And I won't spoil it, but there's a potential like legitimate physical connection between this one and Craving.
Ooh, okay.
Which I haven't.
That would be sick.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide if I want to like do it with the same cast member and have it carry over. We're in the midst of deciding that, but
hell yeah.
But I'm super pumped for this one. Like I'm super pumped. I'm really excited to release A Hard Place, and like A Hard Place will be like hitting streaming around the same time we're starting to raise money for this one. So it's like,
oh yeah. There's nothing better to help push that over the mark.
Yeah. So like I feel like it's going to be a really like big and special project. I mean, like I said, I made whatever. I think I've directed like 25 movies, but in a lot of ways, I feel like Craving, A Hard Place, and then Apex Predators. They're kind of like my first movies. It's like I feel like I've like finally after all these years, and I'm not crapping all my old stuff, but I feel like I found my true voice with these movies. And I'm really looking forward to exploring that more, and then seeing what's next. I have no idea.
And that's the thing. It comes with experience, of course. I mean, back to the music videos that I started acting in before I even got into feature film and gave it a shot. I still have like a special place for those. And, you're absolutely humble as fuck. and your entire catalog is just superb, and the film's just, and that's the thing, it just keeps getting better and better, and the creativity with the storylines, and that's what's missing from, we say it all the time here at the Underground, the mainstream. There's no creativity in there. There's nothing. It doesn't pay homage to anything. It's just like they're standalone, fuck everything else. You are interjecting 50 some years of horror, throughout different decades into what you do, and it shows.
Yeah, I think so. And I also, I've talked a lot about myself, but I want to give a shout out on A Hard Place to my DP, Cody Newton. We
love you, Cody.
Dude, that dude, he's gonna outpace all of us. Like in the next year, that cat's gonna be on big movies. He's really good, and he hasn't been doing it all that long. I think like 4 or 5 years or something like that.
Wow.
He is really, I think Craving, it wasn't his first feature, but I think he'd only done a few before Craving, mostly industrial stuff and short films and stuff like that. But man, he has a great sense of composition. We got to a point on Craving because we were shooting so fast where I wasn't really even setting composition. I would just be like, okay, we want to shoot him over there from this way, and that's as much as I directed the camera movement, and he was literally choosing the camera movement, when to push in, stuff like that a lot. So I owe a lot of the look of, not just the look, but the feel of A Hard Place to Cody. He's really good, man. And he's fixing.
People don't realize just how important they are.
Yeah. And he's a director first. So he DPs for people, but he directs. So he has a really good story sense,
Yeah.
But yeah, he is freaking incredible. And then I gotta give a shout out to Robert Bravo, my special effects artist.
Oh my goodness.
So
he's amazing too.
He's been with me almost from the beginning, from my first movie in LA, pretty much through A Hard Place. He's even on movies where I didn't have special effects, he was there, just because he's the kind of dude you just want on set. Because he's just such a nice, genuine guy, and he's really, really good at de-escalating conflicts. Now we didn't really have any conflicts on Craving or Hard Place, but on previous movies where I was working for other producers, there are some situations that arose where it was him that kept people from coming to blows and stuff like that.
Nice.
Just a
you gotta have a cooler
guy.
Man.
Yeah. And he'll literally kill himself for a movie, almost to a fault,
Sounds like me.
Yeah. So there are a few points where you have to literally stop him from doing some things that could hurt him.
Right.
Yeah.
I tend to go all in. If I have to fall down 8, 9, 10 takes, I'll do it.
Totally. Yeah.
Even though I shouldn't, but I do it anyway. It's because I want it to look great.
Yeah.
And people like him and the DP that you mentioned, they matter so much.
Oh, 100%. And I want to say just one last thing about Steve Morris. So he acted in the movie and he became our sound guy. So we had a sound guy in Ohio, and he fell out, and last minute fell out. And Cody,
ooh, those are the worst.
Oh, it sucked. And I didn't know anybody in Ohio, so we were having trouble finding somebody. Cody just so happened to have gear, like nice sound gear.
Yeah.
So Steve was, acting in the movie, but I won't say. Anyway, he was acting in the movie, but had time to do some crew stuff. So at one point we were like, hey, do you want to do sound? And he learned sound on the fly, and man, our sound is good. He did a wonderful job. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he just did the sound on his own movie that they just shot. So he was directing and doing sound. I think so. But again,
you up a lot.
yeah, the kid, he's a go-getter, you know,
Mhm.
he's, and, you know, I think we'll see some cool things from him coming up.
Absolutely. Just amazing. Um, my goodness, just a wealth of knowledge, and, you know, you help so many people. And this film is, I just know that it's going to blow up. I knew it the first time I ever saw it on Facebook. I was like, you know, this is one of those films that it's the absolute diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
And that everybody needs to see it. And you guys out there in the Black Flame universe, you guys saw the trailer. It is definitely a passion project, and it's going to deliver. It's going to give you everything that you want and more. For everyone that has shown up for you tonight, and all of the fans, obviously, as well, that have shown up for you tonight, what is your lasting message for them?
So, you know, like whatever you're doing, whether you're an actor or you're a filmmaker or, you know, a DP, whatever it is, you know, you're creative in the arts, it's tough. Like, and you can feel a lot of the times like you're not seen, you know, and that nobody, you know, nobody like shares your struggle, or, you know, or nobody understands. Just know that like I was there too, you know, and I still am in a lot of ways. Like, I just want everybody that's having a tough time, you know, doing their art to know that I see you. Like, I 100% see you and feel it. And, you know, like, I've been able to eke out a living as a filmmaker. And the only reason that is, I am not like, you know, I'm not Quentin Tarantino. I'm not Steven Spielberg. I think I'm all right. But my big thing is, like, I'm persistent, man.
Yes.
I have directed over 25 films. I've produced almost 100. I just keep going. And if you just keep going, keep putting yourself out there, you can bust through.
Absolutely. The underground always is about being humble, and you are humble as fuck, sir. It's rise and grind. You guys see all my posts on Reapers Underground, my actor page as well. This is what it's about. You just don't stop. You kick those doors in until something sticks. It will happen as long as you keep trying to manifest it.
Totally. And if nobody gives you the opportunity, make your opportunity.
Exactly. A lot of people don't realize that. That's something that really kind of falls through the cracks. They're like, well, how do I make something happen? Well, show up, show out, and somebody's going to notice. Mm-hmm. Even if it's your own thing, even if it's a small project, if it's a short, that's fuel. You just keep sending that out until somebody says, okay, I think this person has something. And it's going to happen. Mm. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Jay Horton, and giving us so much and an intimate look into this great creature feature film, A Hard Place. If this is coming to a drive-in or on the big screen to your area, please be looking out. This would be your chance. Yes, absolutely. Always support indie film, and guys like Jay Horton here and myself and everybody out in the comment section that is also in this industry, because, you know, at the end of the day, everyone's trying to cut each other's throats, and it's sad. But if we just come together, especially like the cast that you had on this film, you can make magic happen. So keep trying, keep moving forward, and always stay heavy.
Thank you for joining us on Reapers Underground. Stay tuned for more from Black Flame Entertainment.